And I'm serious. If you want Silver Eagles, this is the best time since 2019. And for those collectors out there, I would think that the 2023 Silver Eagle would be very, very demanded, because I can't imagine that the mintage will amount to much of anything. I don't know if you've looked at the recent mint numbers, Chris, but I can't imagine that they're very much at all. My guess would be 7 or 8 million so far or less. I'm not sure. That's just a guess, but if that is the case, that puts it down as one of the lowest mintages ever. So
there's no doubt that July was a difficult month for the gold market, as both the US Mint and the Perth Mint reported weak bullion sales. According to data from the US Mint, it sold 41,000 ounces in various denominations of American Eagle gold coins. Bullion demand was down 3.5% from June, and down 36% from July 2022. What's even more interesting is the US Mint sales have dropped to their lowest levels since November and December, when the Mint halted its sales to shift production to 2023 minted coins.
Silver Eagle market is on fire, and people, I think, there are a lot of reasons. You have the states that are using silver and gold as legal tender, and more and more of them signing up to it. And you have the fact that people really have not had a chance to accumulate or own any Silver Eagles without paying an exorbitant premium for 4 years. And so they have been on a tear, and not just with Miles Franklin, everybody has blown through them in a crazy fashion. And so you're beginning to see premiums rise again. The Mint said that they would double allocation, but in the end, 2023 is going to be a very, very small mintage year in comparison to previous years. So, doubling from a very small number, while it's significant, it's still, I would argue, going to be a paltry number based upon the demand. And if the demand and the price were, if the price was where it had been prior to 2019 forever, the Silver Eagles, they could have made 50 million Silver Eagles the last 3 years, every single year, and easily sold out of production. So yes, they've come down a lot, and yes, they've been hugely accumulated and scooped up. And yes, premiums are beginning to rise again. Is this going to be sustained? I guess we shall see. But my advice to people who have wanted to buy Silver Eagles for the past several years is you're not going to find a better time to do it than right now. At least that is true of more or less almost the last 4 years. The primary distributors who take the allocations from the Mint, I would say, look, I don't blame them. And I know that sounds kind of gross to some people listening. Like, why would anyone pay those exorbitant premiums? They were buying back at super high premiums too. No one ever really asked about that. But by the same token, if you're only getting 20% or less of what is demanded, each one of these primary distributors only getting 20% or less of what is demanded, well, that's what the supply and demand cross represents. A price where supply and demand find equilibrium. Well, that's where they were. And if you're a U.S. Mint, primary distributor, and you have all sorts of dealers all around the world that are asking you, I need to buy Eagles, sell me what you got, and you don't know what the next month looks like, dealing with the U.S. Mint, who has been incredibly inefficient and really hasn't, been very good at communicating to the industry as to why they haven't been meeting demand. And there were all sorts of rumors. Was it a shortage of blanks, or was there something more nefarious going on? Were they stockpiling? And then you had that interview that Big Swear did prior to the one with the U.S. Mint. He did the one with Sunshine Mint, where the owner or the CEO of Sunshine Mint dispelled the rumor of it being blanks, because he said, no, the Mint delivers us COMEX bars that they take off the exchange, and they deliver to us, and then we make the blanks for them. So there wasn't a shortage of blanks, because they were taking contracts and bars and delivering it directly to Sunshine, who was making the rounds for them. It was more along the lines of the interview Bix did, where the gentleman said that he was told to limit production to the extent that it doesn't create a riot. And that the primary distributors in 2022 wanted 36 million coins and were given 12 million at a certain part during the year. So when you talk about all sorts of shenanigans with the US Mint, I've given up trying to figure it out why they've done this, other than in the back of my mind, it would make sense that on behalf of the US government, they are stockpiling silver as an industrial and strategic metal. We've shown its uses in industrial applications, green and digital, but it's also used copiously in military applications and in artillery, missiles, as an example.
The demand for silver, specifically the American Silver Eagle coin produced by the US Mint, is very much alive and well. In what was yet another example of frenzied demand for physical metals, bargain hunters, collectors, and retail buyers jumped into silver on the latest dip. The US Mint reported it sold over 30 million Silver Eagles as recently as 2020. Not only that, but total silver demand reportedly outweighed industrial demand by a wide margin. The Silver Eagle is highly sought after for its high silver purity, consistent market demand, and steady price performance. Undeniably, investors are flocking to silver and other precious metals for the safety they provide in these current, turbulent times. In fact, as demand for precious metals has risen, premiums have also been rising. The premium on Silver Eagle coins, for example, has continued to climb, in a clear indication of buyers willing to pay more to get their hands on the physical metal.
I mean, there's a 7 or 8 primary distributors, and they're the ones that are taking the allocations guaranteed from the US Mint, and then they're the ones that have huge demand for companies like my own and others, all of the major online companies, all the major retailers, all the way down to the local mom and pop, and they're all demanding it, and they're all trying to get it, and they have tiny allocations, so the premiums rise. Well, what if I want to sell? Well, you're going to make it with a $17 ask premium, you're going to get back probably 14, 13. Now the spread is also much higher on Silver Eagles, and let me explain why. You know, we had a lot of Silver Eagles that we had bought at $9 an ounce when the premiums came crashing down to 4, 5, whatever. And so that's money that you can't hedge, and you get wiped out if you have too big of a position at high premiums as a dealer, and then all of a sudden there's a whole new plethora of supply that dumps on the market. Just like that, you're wiped out because you can't hedge that premium. You got 100,000 Silver Eagles at a $9 premium that you paid $900,000 in premium. Well, you can hedge the 100,000 ounces of silver. You can't hedge the premium. And if the premiums collapse, well, you eat that. And hopefully you have the capacity to eat that without it destroying you. But it's an issue where there's a half a dozen companies or so who make a market on behalf of the US Mint. And that's where supply and demand found equilibrium. I didn't buy into that. Look, when you talk about premium, normally it's a function of bringing a blank piece of silver, creating a coin or a bar out of it, stamping it, packaging it, putting it in a box, sending it out to the distributors. All of the costs associated with it would be the premium. Well, you need to also add into it the supply and the demand. And silver has been massively demanded for the last several years, and in the case of the US Mint, woefully undersupplied. So yes, the primary distributors are paying the same price, and they're making a very big premium, huge, more than anyone. But you know, I guess I haven't done the math. If they were to get 5 times as much and lower the premium by, you know, substantially, would it all work out in the end? I guess they're trying to cover their nut based upon the information they have and how much the US Mint is affording them. So no matter what anyone says, I can simply tell you this: the market makers, the big ones, they're the primary distributors that sell it to everyone else, all of the companies like mine. And they're the ones that have captured the big premiums, but they also are taking a very big risk because they can't hedge those premiums either when the whole market sells back to them as well. So it goes both ways. And, you know, I guess there's a little bit of criticism that could go around with them, but not that much, because they're the ones making the market so we can all buy it. No one talks about that. And they're taking a lot of risk involved as well by laying out all of this money and paying, you know, offering big bid premiums on the other side as well. So, it's not as black and white as you may think, and as people out there may think. And look, if anyone else has $100 million that they want to take and start using to become a primary distributor and the reputation to allow the mints to welcome you as that, well, then you have you can then come in and change the way things go. But until then,